Alright, Department of Defense Weapon System Acquisition Reform Act, Product Support and Assessment. We're in the middle of Chapter 5, I think. The major task implementation recommended to build an off of recent Department of Defense congressional initiatives include Weapon Systems Acquisition Reform Act of 2009. These tasks are establish an ONS set affordability requirement, including linking OS&S budgets to readiness, develop an implementation process, the procedure for the key communities, engaging them in an affordable process, increasing visibility of the ONS costs, the drivers then across the supply chain, establish an ONS affordability requirement, including linking the OSS and budget readiness, ability to move must joint drive product of support strategies across the weapon system life cycles, across the capability of profile portfolios. A key element of the establishing ONS cost requirements based on the service can afford back, and even a stronger governance process is used to existing services pilot to linking resources to readiness, building off the service lessons learned and using cycle sustainment costs as tasks expands upon the concept of the enterprise, including appropriate metrics to help use the entire ensure the supply chain is aligned and how costs relates to the performance achieving outcome needed for the warfighter without subsidizing the supply chain. 2. Developing and implementing a process and procedure with the key communities, engaging them into the affordability process. The task creates the buy-in for all primary DOD stakeholders. It requires the combat military developers must use realistic estimates of the ONS costs and analysis of alternatives. Another trade that supports the milestone decision review of the LCC consideration. Be given serious consideration during the design trade-offs with the program, as well as the Office of Secretary of Defense and Service Acquisition milestone decision. The final program management community applied with the balanced set of outcome, qualitative, responsive cost metrics to element of supply. 3. Increased visibility of the ONS costs, the drivers across the supply chain. The task builds lessons learned from the several recent initiatives, recognizing the insight from the ongoing government accounting office reviews of the ONS costs and the cost assessment program evaluation CAPES. Studying the responsive weapon system acquisition reform act of 2009, it was structured to gain better insight of actual ONS and key drivers, accomplishing these efforts, helping them put future projections validated with the actual costs and they're aligned with the estimate, where the decisions are based determining the extent of the ONS related accounts need to be persuaded by the weapon system level as the extent of the required element changes are early activities with the task. This analysis then be used to determine the investment required for the ensure the information systems are capable of disaggregating the O&M accounts. Analytical tool recommendations codify the policies, the procedures pertaining to using the analytical tools and lifecycle process support decision making process. The use of the business case analysis (BCA's) process to life the cycle of the product and support decision mandated with the policy since 2004 has plagued with problems, inaccuracy, and inconsistent applications with the service of the weapon systems and the general failure to achieve the purpose for what it was intended. Shortcomings of the business case analysis processes included inaccurate data, inappropriate deadlines for the business case analysis completion, and the perception of one of the size and fits all the business case analysis process, which involved with the both expensive requirements and excessive manpower to execute. And if no surprise, the decision maker cannot be sure to the business case analysis outputs of the using of the support of the decision has been determined using the consent of the sound methodology. Current business case analysis focus mainly on the finite cost comparisons and consistent with the DOD policy directing life cycle total ownership cost perspective provides with the superior and best value decision. They ignore the fact that they are statutory Title 10 policy factors that detect workload allocation regardless of the best value. Some of the product support strategies perform long-term investment and cost reduction, improve performance overall the life cycle, but may be marginally more expensive in the short term. And finally, the current DOD policy mandates the business comparing and business case analysis only for the performance-based logistic product support strategies. The policy is both encourages and inappropriate, excessive, and because of all the product support strategy decisions should be the subject of analytical process. The analytical process by which the product support decisions are made should vary from the data elements, time from the lifecycle, the unique characteristic of the object system, and in an operational environment. New acquisition development analysis should be marked differently from the accomplished for the output of the production legacy system. Consider conditions early in the lifecycle are marked with immature data in the absence of the ready organic product support infrastructure. Later in the lifecycle, cost is a mature organic support infrastructure has been established. According to there is no single point in the time life cycle of the product that support decision rather than involving iterative process of addressing the changing of data environment or operational outcomes of each of the system. The analytical tools must align with the phase of the weapon system life cycle to be effective. Since the majority of the weapon system data information involved with the weapon system moves in the life cycle management process, the product support analysis should become a living document that is updated at a regular interval based on the current data. This becomes a decision-making enabler rather than static snapshot for one type of use. As an effective analysis balance both of the cost readiness of the business case analysis is to improve the ineffectiveness as a decision-making tools, and they're necessarily interested in codify the larger group of the analytical tools which analyze should be conducted by the DOD and cannot fix the business case analysis process, along with address core systematic issues. The tradition business case analysis are just one more analytical tool in the toolbox that each of the tools shall be examined at applicability within the life cycle of the program. Implementing the analytical tools recommendation help decision makers compare the weapon system programs that have followed with a similar methodology to areas arrive at business analysis. Outputs. Using standard analytical tools and leads the standardized data collection exception standardized analytical output services resulting in the greater opportunity for the joint approaches. Ultimately join approaches maximize supply and chain product of the support channels and reduce overall risk of the cost of the program. Finally, the benefit of expanding the analytical tools examination beyond the business case analysis provided the Department of Defense greater opportunities to satisfy the business case analysis root cause problems found in the government auditing office. Auditors inconsistent with the government accounting office auditors consistent with analytical tools approach with the allow the Department of Defense to provide consistent response for the internal reviews and external audits. Recommendation key task after addressing the large group of the analytical tools, the Department of Defense shows the narrative scope provided with the specific improvements for the use of the BCA and to support the decision making. The Department of Defense and should implement the following three tasks to realize the objective: publish a product of the support analysis toolbox handbook, provide guidance to the conduct of the product support analysis process, and establishing policy for the using analytical to support decision making. Develop updating and the sustainment analysis to include the base business case analysis. Rather than to prescribe a single inflexible analyst process, these tasks are intended to provide the decision maker with a better understanding not only for the types of analysis appropriate for various programs, various periods with the life cycle, but also with the information that should be requested receiving to make better analytical decisions. Tasks are meant with the Department of Defense perspective on is that one of the business case analysis focused on that is included the variety of options to add in decision making. Each task is discussed in more detail. 1. Publish a product support analyst toolbox handbook. The Office of Secretary of Defense should establish and facilitate the team of the representatives, services, DLA, industry, joint staff, modeling, simulation, testing, and evaluation, DAU, etc., to collect known available analytical tools, to understanding what are the current available and the common community of the support decision making that should be ensure the consistency in the process analytical outcomes among the community of stakeholders across the life cycle management of the framework. The team should identify between the tools and the availability. The independent of the tools should be available. Propose new analytical tools and modify the fill gaps. The representative team will define and publish the toolbox handbook. The toolbox handbook will include the analytical tools that are available for the decision making and how they were different analytical tools are used, what necessary inputs and outputs are associated with each of the tools, provided with the guidance on the conduct of the product support analysis process, establish policy using analytical tools and support decision making. Office of Secretary of Defense will provide guidance of the DOD in 5000 series. Instruction 02 and Defensive Acquisition Guidebook regarding implementation of the product support of the Toolbox Analysis Handbook. The guidance will be defined and address the core elements, factors, and criteria for the analytical tools consisting with across the range of the Department of Defense pertinent to, at the minimum, the following characteristics: type of the program, new acquisition, development, legacy, the maturity of the program, various stages of the life cycle, early in the milestones, and through later IOCs. Specific criteria including quantitative, qualitative, non-cost, binary cost, level, objective systems, and subsystems components. The recommendation, iterative review cycles for updating the analysis, the appropriate level of the depth of analysts, recognizing the early program analysts may be less comprehensive and have short-term time value, whereas later the program analysis will be comprehensive and have longer applicability. The until formal policy guidelines, the DOD 5002 and the DAG. The DAG can be revised and policy should be used in the Office of Secretary Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics, assigned with the co-signed by a Coast Assessment Program Evaluation, or CAPE, directly all the programs and analytical tools, and assist the determined weapon system support strategy to provide a rational contract agreement. The policy should be broad enough to allow the service to incorporate the guidance that they already have, within should incur to the communities of Joint Staff, M&S, testing, CAPE, and to work together should amend with the alternative analysis, including all analytical alternatives more attentive to the product support. Alright, 3, to developing, updating, and training the sustainment analysis to include the business case analysis. Lately, the DAU should leverage the toolbox to develop and other additional training courses, the CLM, on the analytical tools for sustaining analysis, including business case analysis. The DAU approach should cover the characteristics for each of the tool and how when it applied during the program's life cycle. For the recognizing the business case analysis presently defined using the team representing different organization, different expertise. The DAU should work services of the SMNE to develop the schedule of the business case analysis, specific term vice general, taking training to coincide with the kickoff of the product support analysis team. Additional more detailed training for the product support analysis should be covered with the analytical tools process, such as core logistics analysis, source of the repair analysis that provided with the feeder data to the objective system analysis. Human capital. Our recommendations integrated with the support of the competency across the logistics acquisition workforce domain and institutionalizing success traits of an outcome-based culture. Product support capital derives primarily from the two sources: the defensive logistic workforce and defensive acquisition workforce. The workforce demonstrates the widespread of the provide product support with competency across the carrier field, the respective domains, yet the ability to achieve and improve in product support outcomes consistent with the recommendation of the report of the product with the consistently capable of the effective product support management. The encourage is the logistic defensive acquisition workforce beneficiary effective in the explanatory human capital strategic planning efforts over the past several years. The Department of Defense logistics functionally company become comprised with more than 615,000 active duty military civil personnel who fall into one of 4 logistic workforce categories. Of the 4 logistic workforce categories, the life cycle logistics is more closely associated with the product support competency. Life cycle logistics are comprised approximately with 13,400 personnel who make up the 2% of the logistic workforce. The life cycle logistic workforce stands in the nexus between 615,000 member logistic workforce at 125,900 member defense acquisition workforce. As shown in Figure 20, beside the lifecycle logistic carrier field, that there are other carrier fields in the acquisition workforce that may demonstrate product support competency, specifically a program management, system and engineering, product quality management, some of the degree of the contracting career field. 7 life cycle logistics competency are identified with the May 2008 Department of Defense Logistics Human Capital Strategy, are generally descriptive of the product support competency set. They are most fully incorporated with the defensive acquisition work training. Key to the focus area of the competency incorporation and enhancement involvement included the life cycle sustainment policy planning, the life cycle management, the performance-based logistics strategy, implementation, support of analysis, reliability, availability, maintainability, RAM, analysis, configuration, management, and technical data product management. Figure 20 shows the product support life in the neighborhood of the acquisition logistic community. The acquisition technology logistics acquisition community of 125,900 personnel going through the property management, purchasing, contracting, programming, PQM, VCEFs, SPRD, SNT, SPRD, SNE, the life logistics, which branches off into another bar with the T and A. Well, continuing with the acquisition community, the T and A, IT management, IFE, and audit. From the life cycle logistics, it goes the LCC community with the 13,400 personnel, the deployment of the distribution and transportation Department of Defense logistics community of 615,000 personnel supplying management and maintenance per support. Recommendations for the key task: the Department of Defense should contain implementation of initiatives embodied with the acquisition, technology, logistic, human capital strategic plan with the Department of Defense logistic human capital strategic plan. Both human capital planning initiatives are integral and continuing the focus of the cross-cutting logistics acquisition workforce, reshaping strategies further and implementing the recommended initiatives offered by the performance support assessment team and reported the following 6 tasks that would be accomplished. Define new modified product support competency proficiencies driven with the proposed product support assessment team strategy and policy process changes. Incorporate new modified product support competencies into the Department of Defense industry, logistics and acquisition workforce career fields requirement retention strategies. Identify the potential assimilation requirements for supply, the management, maintenance, support, and distribution transportation workforce into the acquisition lifecycle, the logistics career field. Capitalization of Section 852. Capitalization Section 852 Defensive Acquisition Workforce authorizes to grow up and develop the future product of the support workforce. Expand and integrated with the cycle management training of the Department of Defense University, public university institutions, cooperative universality. Updating the key Department of Defense guidebooks and handbooks to facilitate the defense logistics acquisition workforce and the professional development and workforce application. 1. Identifying new and modified support of the competencies proficiencies driven by the program support assessment team strategy policy and process change. The Department of Defense senior functional leader of the lifecycle logistics should take a lead out of the action using existing components and competencies identified to incur the acquisition career fields of the per acquisition technology logistic competency study is performed in the Center of Naval Analysis. Logistic career fields should be paid per May 2008. The Department of Defense and Logistic Human Capital Strategy, the baseline of gap analysis should conducted to identify the strategic functional policy processes related to the training, learning, assets changing in the further future as a result of the program's support assessment team recommendations, thereby requiring new competencies to be incorporated with the training curriculum and other workforces management activities. Incorporate new modified products support competencies into the Department of Defense and industry logistic acquisition workforce career field training, recruitment, and retention. Extending the task of the Department of Defense senior functional leader for a lifecycle logistics should be coordinated with the acquisition career fields, particularly with the program management, system engineering, and contract with the logistic force categories, particularly with the supply management, maintenance, and support, to incorporate new and revised competencies and an applicable curriculum and other workforce management activities to coordinate with the best affected work with the Defensive Acquisition University Logistic Functional IPT Acquisition Management Functional Program overarching function of the IPT and the Department of Defense Logistic Human Capital Executive Steering Group and the National Defense Industrial Association. 3. Identifying potential assimilation required to supply the management, the maintenance, support of the distribution, transportation workforce members in the acquisition life of the cycle of the logistic career field. The defensive acquisition life cycle of the logistic workforce at 13,400 members, increasing by 7% since 2005 as a result of an increasing designation of the position acquisition, increased the Department of Defense attention to the life cycle management initiatives, inclusions of the product support strengthening would signal the continued growth should be expected within the career field the official year of 2010 and 11, indicating the approximately 3,800 of additional life cycle logistics career fields as personnel will assimilate the acquisition workforce of defense component of defensive logistics, government and insurance strategies will likely enforce the upward trend in such of assimilation, and the action will be led to the defensive components with independently determine the workforce position as identified as part of the acquisition workforce. Capitalization of Section 852 Defensive Acquisition Workforce authorizes the growth, development, and the future of the product support workforce. In Section 852 of the 2007 National Defense Authorization Act, directed the Secretary of Defense to establish known as the Department of Defense Acquisition Workforce functionally to provide requiring recruiting, training, retention of the Department of Defense acquisition personnel. The purpose of the funding is to ensure that the Department of Defense acquisition workforce has the capacity in both the personnel and skill to properly perform the mission, provided with the appropriate oversight of the contractor performance to ensure the department receives the best value of the expenditure of the public resource. The Department of Defense should ensure the life cycle management of the product support workforce to receive the benefits of statutory authority when prerogative of taking advantage of Section 852. The opportunities for set the Department of Defense and Defensive Acquisition University is aggressively, expeditiously implementing new courses, development, and updating and incorporated with the Department of Defense logistics competencies set in their learning assets. 5. Expanded integrated lifecycle management training with the Department of Defense University, public universities, institutions, and corporate universities. Lifecycle management, product support, professional development occur many of the today the Defensive Acquisition University, Military Service Academy, the Defensive Institution, Public University, Independent Contracting, the Independent Industry, Corporate University. Also should be focused on expanding the integrated life cycle of management training with such widely distributed tasks can be instrumented with a single entry. However, the life of the cycle of the logistics senior functional leader, Defensive Acquisition University can integrally leading the coordinating with the sharing the competency required for the existing curriculum and whether the investigation of the potential Department of Defense industry clearinghouse approach for this such curriculum sharing. 6. Update and key to Department of Defense good guidebooks and handbooks to facilitate defensive logistic acquisition, professional development, and workplace application process procedures. Applying key components and contain the Department of Defense logistics human capital strategy address with the variety of the key DOD publications, handbook, guidebooks which require revision. The design and assessing supportability of the Department of Defense weapons system, a guide to increase the reliability, reduce logistic footprint, guidebook. Performance-based logistics program manager project support guide of the March 2005 acquisition logistics 97 military handbook 61A configuration management 60 military handbook 502 acquisition logistics military preference 49506 logistics management information GAI standard 007 logistics data management product office August 2007 GAI handbook of logistics product data June 7th. Human capital management vital enabler new recommendations resulting in the report. The task also provides an effective solicitation expanding the product support competency covered the logistic acquisition workforce for the Department of Defense and Industry. This allows the ability to leverage existing structures, initiatives, and opportunities. Alright, now Chapter 6, Life Cycle Product Support and Implementation.